Well, man, welcome to another episode of Quarantine Conversations with myself, D. Ewing. I have a special guest here today with us, just to share a little bit about his journey, his life experiences as a basketball player at both the collegiate and professional ranks. Former teammate of mine, really great guy. He's a mentor, coach slash trainer, influencer in this community, helping kids. And he's been around the way, very seasoned. He's a seasoned guy in the basketball world, well-traveled. I'd like to welcome Lorinza Harrington.
Man, appreciate you having me on here. Appreciate you having me, man. Thanks for that.
Oh, what up, baby?
Man, good, man. You know it. Back at it, same thing.
That's
back
good,
on
man.
this side, not back in Poland.
Man, hey, how you doing though, man? How's everything considering the situation? How you and your family?
Oh man, family, everybody's good, man. You know what? Just been sitting around. I really, except like the first time I got a chance to sit down, honestly, man. I feel like in like the last 2 years since I've really been, doing this AAU and stuff like that. Like training and things like that to keep you on the go. But man, just sitting around though, it's a lot of people dying and losing their lives. So you just kind of take it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, it's serious what we're going through right now. It's unfortunate that some people are losing their lives, and just trying to deal with it the best way that we can. But man, like everything else that we've been through as a nation, and throughout the world, it's tough right now, but we'll get through it. Of course, it'll take everybody, pitching in and doing their part. But eventually, this will all come to an end, and hopefully, as a whole, we'll be better going forward.
Yeah, definitely. My faith real strong. So I leave it on the God's hands. I know he gonna make it. Man, we're gonna be everybody gonna be all right in the end.
Yeah, you and me both. We already know you and me both. Well, man, so let's get into this, man. This Junior Harrington story about just kind of walk us through kind of where you from and how you got started in the basketball or in sports. How you got started in sports, and how that came about.
Man, me, I'm from a small town, man, Wagram, North Carolina, man. I usually people don't know what Wagram is, so you have to tell them like Lauenburg. They usually hear Lauenburg Institute. Like people usually, remember Lauenburg Institute or say that in their Fayetteville. But from down there in a small town, grew up playing sports, baseball, basketball, and football. But growing up in the country, man, when you ain't have nothing to do, you ain't really have no neighbors. One of my homeboys, if he wasn't home, and if I couldn't go to my grandma's house, only thing that made sense to do, play by yourself was basketball. So, man, that's where, I always developed my love for ball, through that. Just growing up and always wanting to play against the older dudes in the neighborhood and run behind my brother, that type of thing.
So, all right, so you from Wagram, North Carolina. It's close to Lauenburg. As it relates to people who know anything about North Carolina, where is that closest to as it relates to like the Durham, Chapel Hill, Raleigh area?
Let me see. We're like an hour and a half east of Charlotte. You know what I mean? Hour and a half east of Charlotte. We're like.
So you like 3-4 hours away from the triangle, from Durham and all that.
Yeah, no, like 2 hours. I'm like 2 hours from up there, like Chapel Hill and all that. Greensboro's like an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Think like hour and a half, hour 45. So that's that's like one of the places people go back and forth up there. You know what I mean? So those areas, the Central and the A&T and all those little stuff like that. So like Durham, that's like 2 hours. I have family in Durham, so it's like 2 hour drive for them back and forth from my hometown.
Okay. And so you mentioned you had an older brother. Your older brother, man, how was that? Was he influence on your upbringing, and you wanted to become a basketball player or athlete growing up?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. I wasn't 10 in high school. That was my brother number in high school. But I always tell people, man, it was just how it is being a little brother. You just want to always run behind your brother. And for me, just being able to play with my brother and them, I had to be tough. I couldn't be out there crying, you know what I mean, and that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So that kind of helped me. And my brother, man, we used to play 1-on-1. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't let me win. He beat me and be picking and run off the court holding up the number one finger and all that stuff. So Man, we had our wars out there. You know what I mean? But you know, he was big, man, when it comes to that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, making sure I stay straight and making sure I just keep hooping and doing what I got to do.
I know exactly what you mean, man. I got two older brothers who are much older than I am, and so I took nothing but beat downs growing up, man. My brothers are 10 years and 8 years older than me, so trying to follow after them when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, like I took nothing but hardcore butt whoopings on the basketball court, man. Trying to be a hooper, so I know exactly what you mean.
Oh yeah, man. My brother like 5 years older, so he wasn't taking it easy though. He didn't take it easy. Like I said, he used to call everything, walk, double, travel. I was like, man, you tripping, but I used to give him the ball. I used to give him the ball though, but then I lose, man. I'd be so mad. But man, I hate that. I mean, I tell people now though, that taught me like I hate to lose more than I really like to win, because it was like, man, he was always picking to celebrate. So it was like, man, I don't even want nobody to win to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Taught you that mental toughness though. Like,
yeah, no, man, it definitely, you know what I mean? It definitely taught you that, man, because, I mean, like you said, it's growing up and running with your older brother and wanting to be out there to play with them, you know what I mean? Playing with the older guys, it definitely, you know, they talking junk too. You know how it is growing up in the park, you know what I mean? And you know, back in those times, there wasn't no really bullying like they say now, you know what I mean? So things were different.
yeah, and you had to earn your stripes back then. Like, you really had to earn your stripe. You know, even though your brother might have been somebody that was respected at the courts and at the park, you being the youngest or one of the younger guys there, like, it wasn't just like, oh, automatically you get to get on the court. Nah, you know, like, you had to earn your stripes.
Man, I still remember the first time getting a real chance to get out there on the court, like as a kid, man. It was like, man, let me play. My brother never would let me play, you know what I mean, in the park, because, you know what I mean, I was small. Like, I was 5'7" till like the end of my junior year of high school, you know, so I was small. And even when I was a kid, 7th grade, and they were 12th grade, he never wanted me to play. So finally, one of the dudes in the neighborhood was like, man, let him play. You know what I mean? My brother's like, nah, if he get in trouble, it's going to be on me. You know what I mean? We get back home, he get hurt or whatever. But nah, man, I ended up playing that day, dog. That was like my first time playing at the park, and man, it was just like I had, like, man, I did everything they said, dog. Like, rebound. Only thing, like, I promise, that's why I hustled so hard. The only thing you could do was rebound
and pass the ball.
Man, it's like you shoot a game-winning shot. You got fussed at if you made it or if you missed it. Either way it go, like, you was getting fussed at for even. But nah, man, they taught you how to play though. Like, yeah, but for real.
Yeah, that's back in the day when people was schooling the young guys on really, you know, what it took to be a hooper. You know what I'm saying? And teaching you really how to play the fundamentals of the game. And like you said, building up that mental capacity of like, man, like, you got a little something, young fella, but, you know, you need to work on this and work on that, and talking bad to you, but at the same time encouraging. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real, man. I don't know how many times I got told, get out the way. Like, get out the way, man. Get out the way, man. You just get in the way. Like, get out the way. So, man, you just go stand in the corner, man. Just wait for you, man. Just better just wait. Yeah, but, I mean, it was like, and then you found your way, though. Eventually, you know what I mean? They start letting you do more and more, and you get trusted. And, man, next thing you know, you're getting picked up on the first 10. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but then, man, then were the days when you know you had to be out there early. Like, early. I remember coming home from, like, church on Sundays, man. We had to go to church on Sunday, so it was like, as soon as church was over, I would just jet out of church. And I drove to church, man. I wouldn't even ride my mom. I would drive to church. I would get home, have to wait till my mom and dad get home. I mean, like, you could call on cell phone back then. You know what I mean? I had to wait till they get home from church. I'm like, man, who they talking to, man? Like, park gonna be crazy. Man, they pull up in the yard. They like, yo, you ain't speak to nobody when you left church today. I was like, man, I'm trying to get to the park, man.
Yeah.
You didn't get there. You didn't get there. You were waiting, man. Like,
You're right.
That's the crazy thing. Like, you know, y'all down there, y'all probably had all of these parks, you know what I mean? And 4 or 5 goals out there. I don't know how y'all, but, man, we had one park, one goal. I mean, one full court. That was it, man. So if you had to go to, like,
from a small town. So, I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I mean, we had our fair share of parks, but like I said, in Houston, Missouri City, it's still kind of spread out. So, I mean, I went to the one park. It was one particular park, Quail Green West, that I grew up going to by the time I was like from 7 to 14. I mean, every Saturday, right? In the summertime, every day. But, like, you know, doing every Saturday during the school year, that's what, you know, that's where you at. And that's where all the older guys was at, you know what I'm saying? The hustlers, like, that's where everybody's at. Like, just, hey, you know what I'm saying? you didn't know that's what that was going on back then as a little kid, but that's that's just what it was. The dude sitting on the cars, and them, them was the hustle. You know what I'm saying? Not hooping.
Yeah, they come out there they just come out there to chill. They ain't even come to hoop.
But then was the hustlers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But man, so okay, so you kind of grew up very similar to I did, as far as like structure wise, like having an older brother, following after your brother. You don't want to be like your brother, hooping, following his footsteps. So your transition as you get older, middle school, you get to high school. Right? You mentioned you was only like 5'7".
Yeah.
You 6'4".
That's crazy. Like,
you became 6'4". You 6'4". You 6'4" now, but you was only 5'7" going into high school.
That was crazy.
Talk about that, man. Talk about your freshman year and then the transition when you started growing and how your high school played out.
Man, it was like 7th, 8th grade. Man, our 7th, 8th grade team was good. It was like the same team that was like 12-0. I think our 7th grade year we beat the team like 63-2. We had a really good team. We ended up being like 24-2 our senior year, but in between that, man, I played 7th and 8th grade. Then I played 9th grade basketball. 10th grade I did did JV, and I was always I would always play. Nothing like I'm playing varsity. You know what I mean? My freshman year, thing like that. What's crazy? My junior year, I wasn't even really starting like that. You know what I mean? I've always played, and I used to go to the Laurinburg Institute. There was like a lot of really, really good players over there, man. Like at the Institute. I'm not sure if you heard of that school, like Sean Williams, who went to Memphis, who played in the league. Like they, you know what I mean? Those guys, and then Rayful Austin, he came. We went there for a little bit. You know what I mean? So they had a lot of really good players down there. So I would go out there and work out with them, and they had a coach out there, Gil Reynolds. He was like a legendary coach. He trained Sidney Green and World Be Free, Earl Lloyd, Bernard King. You know what I mean? They talk about him in their books and stuff like that. He was like a legendary coach in Brooklyn. They call him like the father of Brooklyn basketball. So I always was working out with him, through all of that. You know what I mean? And he was taking me to New York. You know what I mean? Like during the summers, went to Spike Lee actually had a Nike camp, like Spike Lee Nike camp up there. I think the Marlon was there. I was like, I think it was like maybe my freshman or sophomore year. Like the Marlon was there. I remember Omar Cook was there. I remember Julius Hodge. I mean, they were talking about those guys. Back then it wasn't really no media, so if they talked about you, you know what I mean? If you was a name back then, it was like, so those guys, I remember those guys being there, so I was always playing against, getting a chance to go and play against that type of competition and doing a little AAU, even though I was in that small town. My parents were, my mom was, my mom was a teacher, my dad was, he worked, you know what I mean? So they, married and stuff like that. So they did a good job of making sure I got to, go and do what I needed to do. But like I said, my junior in high school, man, believe it or not, I really wasn't even playing that much like that, like doing all of that. And but it was, a lot of other things, but I don't make no excuses for nothing. Like even now, I tell my kids, you know what I mean? I make no excuses for nothing. Like it is what it is, I can think what I think. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like to speak on it, man. You just, it is what it is, But I was just able to overcome that, man. And like I said, after my junior year of high school, I went from probably like playing 10, 12 minutes a game, maybe, and just not getting recruited, none of that. I actually stopped playing AAU. Was crazy. I didn't even play AAU going into my senior year of high school. Like that's the most important year. I'm 5'7" in my man. I play AAU. That's what's crazy. Like all these parents be doing this AAU. No, we kind of get off the subject, but they play AAU. All with these kids. I started like the 4th, 5th grade, just like these kids, and I got to my most important year, and I quit. Like I ain't want to do it no more. I got a job. You know what I mean? Like I still want to play sports in school, but I'm working at Athlete's Foot in that food line. You know what I mean? Like during the summer. So, but man, I'm growing the whole time. I'm still going to the park though. You know what I mean? Still doing that. Just chilling. This preparing like to go out for the team for varsity. And man, next thing you know, this one thing led to another, man. In my senior year, and I started getting recruited at a Christmas tournament. And I actually met the guy who told my college coach about me like a couple of years ago at the top 100 coaches camp or whatever. They get the Wingate, man. So it was a crazy story, man, to go from 5'7" at the end of my junior year, coming back like 6'2", you know what I mean? Then growing all the way, another inch, and by the time I end up leaving high school, I'm 6'3", 6'4", you know what I mean? So that was a totally different ball game. But I mean, I feel like I tell people all the time, I always played hard, always played D. I did everything. Like now, I did the same thing I do now, but I was just taller. You know what I mean? Like, so ain't nothing really changed. Like for me, as far as what I feel about my game, nothing really changed. I just got big. I just got big with it. You know, and that really helped.
But I'm glad you brought that up, and it wasn't getting off subject, but for the sake of, I know the space that you're in now, you know, helping the younger athletes in the basketball, you know, coaching and training, and being involved with AAU, and the point you made, which a lot of kids don't grasp early enough, is that you can use basketball as a tool, right? But it's not, everybody's not going to be a star. Everybody's not going to be highly recruited. Everybody's not going to make it to the NBA. And for you, right, you at an early age, you was like, man, you figured that out for a split second, right? You was like, man, I'm only 5'7". Yeah, I love hooping, but I'm only 5'7". Like, where's this going? All right, so you know what? I'm a smart enough. I'm gonna go get me a job. I'm gonna start, you know, you feel me? I'm gonna start. Hey, I don't think this is gonna work out for me. I'm gonna go get me a job in the summertime, make me some money, and then start preparing as if after high school basketball is it for me.
Yeah, and going to college. I sent my room and board off. And paid and everything. I was going to A&T. I wanted to be an electrical engineer. Like that's how my mom was serious. My mom was a teacher. My mom and dad serious about academics. So that's how far basketball was out of my mind that I had none. Got accepted, sent my room and board off to A&T. Like, and then, you know what I mean?
I say that to say that because I understand. I mean, I'm around the AAU aspect of everything, you know, with my guy. And a lot of people think it's just easy to make it. Not even make it. A lot of people think it's easy to be a D1 player, and it's not. Like, you have to be really good. And when we talk about D1, it's different levels. But a lot of people, when they talk about D1, they thinking of the highest level. They not even talking. You know what I'm saying? We're not even talking about. They skipping over the mid majors and, you know, the lower comp. They thinking like they kids at the Duke and the Kentucky, and there's nowhere. Your kid didn't even make the high school or the middle school team. Like, what are you talking about?
Man, I tell them, man, the road's so long. That's what I always say. I always tell them, like, man, the road's so long. I'm like, at the end of the day, you're going to get an opportunity to meet those guys. If you think you're that good, you know what I mean? Like, somebody's going to see you, and you're going to get an opportunity, but they don't understand because I feel like right now with the internet, you know what I mean? You can almost make yourself who you are. You understand what I mean? Like, they able to sit there and make a highlight tape and do this and do that, you know what I mean? And people, you know, they like what they do, but they don't really understand, like, really how good they are compared to these other people. You know what I mean? Like, as far as, you know, we able to say, like, yo, they think just because people are in Europe, everybody that play in Europe, they're not good. You know what I mean? We played against some really good European dudes who could come over here and play in the league. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I always tell them, man, don't judge your competition to who you playing against right here. You know what I mean? I think sometimes they get lost up in that fact and not really realizing, man, how long this road is. You know what I mean? And so I always just kind of ask them what their goal is, man. Like, what's your goal? Like, what you trying to do? Like, anything else, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? You're trying to get a scholarship. I ain't worried about no rankings, no this, no that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it don't matter. Like, let's be real. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, it's good. Like, no, I actually, right now, it's starting to matter a little bit. You know what I mean? We're going to touch on that, but that times will change.
It don't, though, but to piggyback, to add to your story, right? To add to your journey, and you're a great example of it. It don't matter, though, right? It really don't.
Yeah.
When you can play, and if it's for you, right, it's already written, like, what's going to happen in your life, right? You know what I'm saying?
Like
if it's for you, it's going to happen. Like you said, you wasn't a big-time high school player. You didn't even play AAU your last year of high school, right? You was 5'7" going into your senior year, and you grew a couple of inches, but that doesn't change what you already had built up. Like, you was already, you know what I'm saying? You already had the right intangibles and the right mindset and the right philosophy about how to play the game. So as you got bigger, that just made it easier for you. You already was a good defender. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already had the things. As you got bigger, you were just sort of bigger version of your 5'7" self.
That's all it was, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, because it was like I said, man, I had good coaches, you know what I mean? And so to be able to like you said, to grow to that height and then be able to, that was a bigger version of myself. And man, that helped a lot, for real.
But I say that to ultimately say this, success for everybody looks different. You know what I'm saying? Like my high school situation was totally different from your situation, but we still basically ended up with very similar, you know what I'm saying, professional careers.
Man, in the same, man, I was telling one of my kids the other day, I was like, man, it's like you have a role. You know what I mean? Sometimes they get to worrying about everything. You know what I mean? Granted, we ain't have, they get to worry about sometimes other people. You know what I mean? As far as like comparing themselves or wanting to work to that person or get, you know what I mean, get to their level of they're getting this. Why do I get this? Man, I just tell them to stay on your path, man. You know, stay in your lane, stay on your path, focus on what you're trying to do. Like it's easily, I think it's these days and times for these kids, it's easy for them to get, you know, kind of distracted from those things, you know. But for me, man, just coming from the Division II and, you know, just coming from that situation, you know, I always have to remind them of that. You know what I mean? I always use my story with them to remind them of that. You know what I mean? So I think the kids that are around me, they know that. You know what I mean? They definitely the ones that are around me. Like when the kids, like, cause I have some really good kids in my program. Like some of that, not even, you know, we train and things like that. Like I think I have a chance. You know what I mean? But as much as I may, I don't even really. I might tell them that, but it's like, man, I don't know. That's still tell them at the same time. The road long. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to keep working, man. Even if you do make it, or like, it's like just because you made it to Duke, like, you know what I mean? You was like everybody's dream is to make it to Duke. You ain't make it to Duke to stop working. You know what I mean? You had to start over. You know what I mean? So then when you know what I mean? So it's all about getting there, start over. And I tell them all the time, like, you're never gonna really able to appreciate what you've done in your career until it's over with, because you always got another game, another season. Like you won a championship this year, we're trying to win it next year. So man, it's just that underdog mentality, man. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, just seeing how my thing went, you know what I mean? I always tell them I don't want y'all to go my road. Now I want y'all to be, I want y'all like it was, because I had to grind now, you know what I mean? But it's possible, and to know that there's somebody out there like me. That's why I always tell them, somebody out there like me, you ain't seen them yet, you know?
But nah, like I said, you definitely got to keep sharing your story with your, you know, with your guys that you with daily and the kids that you're gonna touch, man, because it's more guys like you than it is like, you know what I'm saying, that it's gonna have a high school career like I had. You know what I'm saying? It's more unknown, not highly recruited guys who trying to make it than it is the top 25 guys. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, kids need, like you said, I think a lot of even today, just in our society, everybody gets caught up with what the next person is doing, because we can see what it looked like, what they're doing, and it's not necessarily, it may not necessarily be the truth, but from our point of view, it looked like, oh man, he doing good, or he living well, or she living well. You know what I'm saying? Or they got this and they got that, but we don't. You know, it's social media. Like you can make it look how you can dress it up how you want to dress it up.
Man, I'm telling you, man. You know, and you know, that's the thing. Like even some of these kids now, they don't even, you know, they don't. You ask them what they want to. They don't want to go D2. You know what I mean? All of them I want to go D1. I want to go. Oh my God, I mean, I understand. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I asked you know, at our school. You know what I mean? I don't think we probably would. You know, Division II school. We have a really, really nice school. I mean, as far as facilities, academically, the things they, you know, the last couple of years, that 10 years that they added to our school, like if they really wanted to go D1, they could. But our athletes having a lot of success from the Division II level. You know what I mean? Like our teams are always good. Our basketball team, a couple of our players getting to leave and go play pro. Football players, they leave in baseball, soccer, like, you know, all the sports, you know what I mean? So it's like if we do make that jump to the Division I, like where you gonna be at? You're gonna be another, you know what I mean? How are you gonna be in that environment? So it's sometimes like that for these players also. You know what I mean? What type of player are you really? Are you gonna go there and just be another player? You understand what I'm saying? Or are you gonna really go out there and stand out? You know, and it's not like you saying I'm gonna go Division II and try to kill and stand out to do this, but it's like, man, just go where you're gonna be able to be successful at. You know what I mean? And don't just get so caught up in going Division I that you miss out on your blessing. You know what I'm saying? Which may be going somewhere, you know?
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing we could continue to try to push to the youth, you know, as far as in the basketball arena, the grassroots basketball arenas, and go where you can be the most successful. And that might not be that you might have the opportunity to go to a bigger school, you know, but the lesser school, the mid major or the low D1 might be where you can have the chance to be the most successful and give yourself a chance to be, to actually be a potential future. You know what I'm saying? If you go to that big time school, right, you're going to go over there and you just gonna sit.
Exactly.
And you're gonna sit, and then you're gonna have to transfer, and then it just becomes a cycle of setbacks. But man, to further along, so D2, right? So you get through your senior year, you grow a couple of inches. Obviously, people take notice. You look like a different player, and you get recruited to go to Wingate.
Yep, Wingate.
All right.
I actually had a couple Division II offers, a couple of Division I offers too, like Winthrop and UNC Greensboro, but they kind of like came in towards the end. I think Winthrop maybe wanted me to redshirt, something like that. But man, I wasn't trying to stay to school, you know what I mean? No extra year. And so I was like, man, I'm trying to come in here and do 4 years, and you know what I mean? Once again, it's be out. That's it. Come in and play. And Wingate were like, Wingate, I actually they told me if you come in and do what you're supposed to do, you'll probably be starting, midway through the year. My freshman year, it's like 4 or 5 games into my freshman year, I was starting and stuff like that. So they pretty much, like I said, from the beginning, they started me, and it's crazy. This guy, like I said, I was at the top 100 camp a couple years ago, and the man who saw me, he was his coach. We introduced each other. He was like, "I know you." I was like, "I'm sorry," you know what I mean? I was like, "Dang, how?" He was like, "I saw you play in 1998 in the Robertson County Shootout." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I was there recruiting this other guy, this other big man in the championship game." You know what I mean? I had been there watching the whole tournament, and you guys happened to play against each other in the championship game. And I called the coach at Wingate and told him about you. And then, that's when Wingate started recruiting me and just took off from there. And that was at the Robertson County Shootout. I was like right around that time. You know what I mean? So my recruiting started, man, what you want to say? Yeah, December, January, right around that point.
All right, just side note. How often is a great point that you said that. How often do you and the guys that you're around, and you're around a lot of former top NCAA and NBA guys that you do your stuff with. How often do you guys try to get your kids to understand what you just said about being at a tournament or being in the game? Just worry about playing your best because you never know who's watching. How much do you guys talk about that?
When we talk about it, and not only talk about it, I go out there and I do it. Like, you know what I mean? I might show up at that game, and I usually used to sitting with their parents or something like that. You know what I mean? And so I just go up there and may sit away. You know what I mean? To sit with my hoodie on or something like that, or sometimes some of my homeboys may be out of town in Winston, like, tell them one of my teams up there playing, and they may, go watch it and stuff like that. So, and then I'll be able to tell them like, yo, my homeboy saw you play, or after the game. You know what I mean? Kids who I train or something like that, I'll, be there. They're like, hey, coach, I didn't know you coming today. I was like, you know what I mean? Was that going to make a difference in how you play? You know what I'm saying? Like, whether or not you knew I was coming or if you didn't know I was coming, you're still supposed to play the same way. So, we do things like that, but I always remind them of those little stories. You know what I mean? Let them know you don't know who watching, to see you play and stuff like that. And, you know what I mean? Sometimes, it's just like, say if you come down here, something like that, and you're in the gym and my guys, like, y'all in here playing around. Like, this guy right here, play the Duke. If y'all come in here do something good enough, you don't think he might pick up the phone and call Coach K? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you never know who around you. You never know the people that are you around when you're in these circles. Like, I tell them, you're planning for some players who right now, their parents play in the league, or they may have, with these type of connections or friends got, like, especially us now. I'm not coaching now. You know what I'm saying? You're not necessarily coaching, but we still know people who coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we sitting in the gym, I might pick up the phone and call a college coach or something like that, and like, yo, man, this dude's pretty good. So you have to remind them of all those things, man. I tell them, you want to be a basketball player, but you got to understand it's a whole lot that come with it. You know what I mean?
Whole lot, man.
That microscope starts as soon as you step in the building. As soon as you step in the building.
Exactly. It even start closer to home than that now with social media. Like, these coaches get to tap in on all the silly mess or whatever you putting out there to the world on social media. So kids gotta be Gotta be careful about that also.
Yeah, you know what? Man, they do all right with that, man. Every once in a while, you might have to shoot them a message like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Not that one. But, they still kids, I always say, I don't know what I would have done. You know what I mean? Necessarily, if we go back to that age and back at that point in time, we would have really grew up in that society like this. I don't think I would have did some of the stuff they would have did. Just knowing my mom and dad, I know I wouldn't have done some of the stuff they were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just different time. But no, they do pretty much a good job of a lot of it just be basketball stuff. You know what I mean? And they think that little Snapchat just because they put it up there and it's gonna be going off in like 15 seconds. Like, man, that stuff is enough to, you know what I mean, do a whole lot of damage.
But all right, so to get back on, you're at Wingate, right? So obviously you said it, but you chose Wingate you chose a D2 school over a couple of D1 schools, right? Granted, these D1 schools wasn't what people are used to hearing. So you said, I know, because I played in North Carolina, so I know Greensboro and I know Winthrop. But you chose a D2 school. And you said because, the coaches basically were straight up with you and saying, hey, man, look, if you come here, we really like you, and we think you got a chance to be a starter by the middle of the year, right? So you went there, you worked, and that basically what they said came to fruition. So you're at Wingate, your freshman year. How does that go?
I mean, my freshman year, it was cool, man. It was like our team, we did really well. Like, our team, like, I forget that record, like maybe 26-4, something like that, give or take, But as far as me individually, I like made all freshman team, like for school. I think I was like freshman male athlete of the year. You know what I mean? Things like that. My season, I probably averaged like 3 or 4 points and 3 assists. It was like we averaged like we were more of a defensive team my first 2 years of my first coach. You know what I mean? Coach Jeff Reynolds. And so I did like more facilitating, more being a point guard. You know what I mean? Coming down, make sure like setting plays up. So this really playing my role. You know what I mean? At that point or whatever.
And so, okay, so your sophomore year is pretty much kind of similar to your freshman year?
Yeah, no, it was like my numbers went up every year. You know what I mean? My sophomore year, I did it. You know what I mean? I did a little bit more. We had some seniors on our team my first year there who were good players and things like that. And so they kind of of course that wasn't coming in like a star. You can't really be a 5-star recruiter at Division II level. You understand what I mean? So you have to sit in here and play your role. But second year I did a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like I said, our style was pretty much still the same. You know what I mean? We pretty much called plays a lot down the court and things like that, averaging maybe 50, 60 points a game. You know what I mean? So those first 2 years, you know what I mean? They were pretty good. They were okay, but I mean, just regular normal years. You know what I mean? Nothing that would show you in the future. You understand what I mean? Like what was to come. You know what I mean? What I was able to do in my junior. You know what I mean? Junior and senior year.
Okay, so let's fast forward to your senior year. What changed the most for you it's your last year? You went through the system of 3 years. You've gotten better every year. What changed for you your senior year?
It's crazy. It's like after my sophomore year, then my coach who recruited me, Coach Reynolds, Jeff Reynolds, he actually ended up leaving there, being assistant coach at Tulane. I mean, he actually, when they're head coach of Air Force, he did, Virginia Tech, Marquette, great guy. You know what I mean? Still talk to him to this day. And like I said, he was able to get a assistant coach job in Division I. So we brought a new coach in. His name was Parker Laquetta. He was assistant coach at Notre Dame. And, it is totally, our style went from one style to totally different. We went from averaging 60 points a game to like 90. You know what I mean? So now we're getting up and down the court. You know what I mean? So that was the biggest change. Like now I was able to I had a blessing. It was blessed. I had the blessing of 2 styles where I was like really defensive, learn the defensive principles, how to do all this stuff. You know what I mean? But then I was able to get up and down the court, and that really allowed my offensive ability to show, like my athletic ability to get out and be able to create and make plays. You know what I mean? So more possessions in the game allowed me to, get up and down the court and do what I do.
So I can thank Coach Reynolds for all that hacking you became doing when you.
Hey man, listen, man. Listen, man. You can start that from all the way from they gotta go back to the weight room with that, man. You ain't giving up no buckets, man.
Go back to you and your brother, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm talking about the park, man. It's Sunday, man. It's 2:00. If you lose this game, you're gonna be have to wait for an hour. So it's like, yeah, no, I don't. I mean, everybody always say I hack, man. They say the same thing here when we be playing. They be like, I foul, but I tell them I just play hard, man. I cry too much, man.
Nah, you know I know what it is, bro. Like we was teammates. You know I know what it is.
Yeah, no, but I do every once in a while, man. I learn to know the referees that on the court, man, and just how to use that for my advantage. So I do be a little aggressive fouling every once in a while.
I mean, but
Once
that's
you
a
get
sign
away
of
with it, it's a foul.
But that's a sign of a student of the game who understands their strengths, right? So if you know you're gonna be an aggressive defender, then you know you're gonna pick and choose your spots and know what the referee is gonna allow and what they don't allow, and then you're gonna adjust accordingly, depending on how the ref is calling the game that game,
Yeah, and like I said, man, like even with you, like I mean, in practice, you got to know who you're playing. Some guys you're just not gonna be. I might be able to get after you to try to wear you out, but I even just like I tell these kids, can't press you thinking I'm just gonna take the ball from you. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can handle the basketball. Like you're gonna either put yourself in a bad situation, and now you going by me. You know what I mean? Creating for yourself, for others. So that's more or less, knowing who you can and who you can't get after, and knowing situations and things like that. But yeah, no, man, I learned all of that stuff just from youth up to this how we were raised. Defense was coming up. Where we from? You had a D up. And first 2 years doing that, and then my last 2 years just being able to get up and down the court, man, and play. And that was a blessing those last 2 years. But like I say, I always say I benefited from all four because I was able to put it together.
So your last year, you ended up being SAC Player of the Year, and you, of course, I mean, if you Player of the Year, you first team all conference. So just talk to us about your season is over with. You of course you're feeling good because you Player of the Year in your conference. You 6'4" now. What is your thoughts? What are you hearing from your coaches or maybe people around you about professional basketball?
Man, I cried like a baby. You want to know the truth about my last game, man? I sat in the locker room and cried like a baby, man. Who was in Jefferson City, Tennessee. Man, Carson Newman. I never forget it. Like, you know what I mean? Last game, lost to Winston-Salem State. But I sat in that locker room, man. I cried so long because I didn't want to take my jersey off, man. You know what I mean? And my boys, my teammates, it was like, man, I had really good teammates too. Like, man, I had some hoopers with me. And they were like, man, you're going to get a chance. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, you don't know. You know what I mean? So that was because I understood. I mean, I've always been trying to be real, realist about it. I'm coming from Division II. Like, y'all sitting here trying to just make me feel good. Like,
hey, bro. Hey, I can see you now, man. Stop playing with me, man. I can see you getting mad all over again, bro.
Yeah, like, man, it's not good. Y'all just sitting here trying to make me feel good, and I respect that, but y'all don't know. Like, you good. Somebody going to give you a chance. Like, they were doing everything as a teammate's supposed to do, but I'm one of those people, man, this ain't working, man.
Yeah.
Man, it took, but I went out there and my mom saying the same thing, like, yo, don't worry, you don't get a chance. But it was like, it went from me not even thinking about it to like my college coach told me he thought I had a chance. He was going to get people down there looking at me. So I had scouts looking at me during my senior year. I had scouts coming to my games and things like that. Like I knew that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, like I just knew the percentages. Like I was always a realist when it came to that. I'm looking at like I got to compete against all, and I got these Duke guys, this, that. Like what's going to make them come grab me before they grab a guy from even High Point? You know what I'm saying? Or Winthrop. Nothing against those guys, but it was another level up from what I was. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I was just like, man, but I mean, I end up, getting that opportunity, got an agent and scheduled, had my workouts and stuff like that scheduled. It was crazy. Like most of the people leave school. I had to stay at school, keep working out. You know what I mean? I'm got class during the day, man. Getting out. I'm trying to train for the draft. My teammates, now my teammates went from it was funny. Like some of my teammates went from it's my senior year. They went from you're gonna make it in the locker room. Somebody gonna give you a chance to it's like April, May. They like, yo, you're not going to none of these workshop, these job fairs. I'm like, nah, man. It's like, yo, Like, yo, man, he was like, what you doing today? I was like, yo, I just got out of class. I'm about to go work out. What you doing? He was like, I got to go to a job fair. He was like, you ain't going in? I'm like, nah, man, I think I'm going to try this super thing. Like, he was like, all right, man. I'm like, yo, like, what just happened a month ago? You was, you know what I mean? But it was funny, though. We always talk about that, man. Like, but I mean, that was just my homies looking out for me too, though. You know what I mean? Like on a backup type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, yo, what you know, I was just like, man, I couldn't. But me personally, I couldn't split the. You already know how it is. Like, you can't split the fence with this game. You're either gonna be all in or you all out. You know, so I couldn't even. So I expressed I had to, you know, train and things like that. So it was definitely tough, though.
So okay, so you finished your senior year. You finally realized that you might actually have a shot, right? They convinced you, and you know, and you started to hear and possibly see different things. How do you remember how many workouts you did?
Yeah, man, I remember I did Denver twice. I think I did Denver twice, Memphis, and Atlanta, maybe. I want to
So
say Denver twice, Memphis.
so you only had like a handful of workouts.
Yeah, a handful of workouts. It was crazy. My first workout I thought was a setup. Like I was like, yo, they really like. I'll get out there. I walk in the locker room. I was just like, I walk in the locker room. I look in. It's like all Division I All Americans, the first one. You know what I mean? And then they had like Nene there, so it's all these guys. And then I see my name. I'm like, yo, like what? I thought I was gonna come in here with the Winthrop guys at this point. Like I thought I was gonna. Like I just really thought like this
No,
is.
bro, you compete with everybody. You try to.
Yeah, I was like, so totally like not knowing. I was like, man, all right, it is what it is. I told myself like, yo, they know you. You don't know them. I mean, they know, you know what I mean? I know them. They don't know me. You know what I'm saying? I saw them play on TV. They've never seen me play. Like, I saw all of you guys play on TV, you know? So that was one advantage I did have in workouts, you know what I mean? Being that they didn't know, I mean, none of them knew me or what I could do. So I had a good workout with them and ended up leaving and going to Memphis. Then I think I went to Atlanta, then Memphis. And when I was at Memphis, they wanted me to come back. They wanted me to come back again to work out. So I actually flew back out to Denver to work out and things like that. So I knew they, you know, they were showing the most interest in me. But Memphis, you know, Memphis like me also. But
Okay, so do you remember? I mean, I know you do. Who were some of the guys that you was like, "Dang, I'm in a workout"? Who were some of the guys that you was working out with in these
yes,
workouts?
I just remember walking out, I was like Dwan Wagner. I'm like, dang, he scored 100 in high school. You know, I'm thinking all this as I'm walking. I'm like, he's scored 100 in high school. He's killing it in Memphis right now. Like then I was like, Fred Jones. I think like, dang, this dude's killing in Oregon right now. You know what I mean? He's all American. I think Nate was there. Nate Hilario.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent Yarborough, he was there. He's all American. So I'm like, yo, these are all Florida State. I think did you play with Carlos? No, like he was there. I think he was at that one.
Boozer?
Yeah, Boozer. He was at
Yeah.
yeah. So man, it was. I think Adam Harrington. He was there as kid. I mean, it was man, but it was those guys. I just remember like, yeah, man, this is. I mean, they really want to see what it is right now, huh? Like especially with Wagner. I'm like, all right, like that was like that was the one for
Was
me.
the workout with Nene and Boozer, was that like a guard and big workout together? Like it was you and some
Yeah, it
guards?
was almost like we did. Yeah, they kind of did stuff on the other end a little bit, but then it was kind of like we did some stuff together too. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? Because I went to like 2 workouts that were like that actually. I think Memphis was kind of like that. We had like some bigs in there also. I think Boozer was at that one too. Um, BD had some bigs in there, so we kind of like did pick and roll type stuff. You know what I mean? Situations,
Going
do
through
the
stuff.
one on ones and all that, of course. Yeah, but a little bit of that other stuff too, though. But yeah, no, that's when I was like, all right. I was like, okay, you know, this is what it is. But I mean, I did well in those workouts, though. I did really, 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 really good, you know. So, but like I say, you still coming from Division II, man. That's when you gotta like, they're gonna choose from a kid from Wingate, or they're gonna choose a kid from Carolina. Like, let's be real. Like, if you gotta put your job on the line, I'm gonna go with the kid from, you know what I mean, from the bigger school. If he don't pan out, I look okay. You understand what I'm saying? But if this other kid don't pan out, then I'm like an idiot. You know what I mean? From choosing him. So I was, you know what I mean? It's not like all these things I'm telling myself like that I wasn't gonna make it. It was just more or less like, all right, you know what, you got to go out here and do. These are obstacles you got to face. You know what I'm saying? So
You
you
was
can't
playing the percentages.
plan the percentages and leave no doubt. You know, if you want to do, you can't leave no doubt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, I definitely talked myself out of nothing. It made me go harder, if anything, you know? But yeah, that was that.
All right, so okay. Can you recap 2002, summer 2002 draft night? What was that like for you?
Man, we had a storm in our hometown, man. It was crazy. Like I just remember like my mom and dad, they always did. That was like my agents like, you may get drafted. I'm like, man, ain't nobody gonna draft me. Then I go, they got a first round, they made late second round. Like, what are y'all doing, man? Like, just cut it out. Like, man, I'm just like, I don't like attention anyway, do you? You already know, like. So,
Yo, bro, I can picture all this going
you
on.
know how I am, yo. I'm like, yo, man, like, what are y'all doing? It's like, well, now aunties want to come over. I'm like, no, like, I'm not getting drafted. Y'all gonna sit there. You always see the videos of somebody, well, I think this going. And I was real. It's like, yo, like now I understand. I'm like, even if I get drafted, I'm not getting drafted in the first round. I'm getting drafted in the second round late where they want to hear me call my name. I still got to make it. So it means nothing. You know what I mean? Like I felt like then, unless I still had the, that's how I felt to me, but until I realized you can make it in the second round and get a contract. So, that was a little bit different thought process, you know what I mean? But I mean, for me in my situation, some guys knew that got drafted in the second round. They were strong second round draft picks and they had guaranteed deals, but mine wasn't going to be a guaranteed deal, even if it did that. And I knew that. So it really didn't matter to me, but I just remember that night, it was a storm in my hometown, man. Actually, the power cut out. So it was actually all worked out well.
He's like, yes.
Man, I was in the back room. What's crazy, I was in the back room laying down, man. I was like, yo, the mom was like, you ought to be ashamed. Nah, mama, like, it's like, my road is so long right now. Y'all don't even know what I gotta, like, because at that point, it was like, I knew I was going to get to go to Summer League. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So my mind wasn't even on this draft. I was like, if they call it, it's cool. If they don't, they don't. But I know I got a long road ahead of me anyway, So, but no, I didn't get drafted. But it was like that night I had to choose between Denver and Memphis, and it was like Denver, Memphis, and somebody else. But I just felt more comfortable going to Denver.
And, so you go undrafted. Who was the number one pick in that draft? Do you remember?
Dang, was it Jason Williams? Yeah,
it was Yao Ming.
Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Jake
Will was second. Jake Will went
second. Yeah, Yao Ming was Yao was in that. Yeah, Yao. Then I think Jay Will. I think Nene and Skittersville, Denver. Then they picked up way high that year and got Nene. You know what I mean? And Skittersville, but yeah, that was like Yao Ming. Yeah, yep. With I think Amari was in that class. Was Amari in that? Zach was in that.
I think so.
Yeah, Zach Randolph. Mari Stoudemire, Mari, Zach Randolph, Quintel.
Q Will was in that. Q Will was in that draft.
Yeah, that's why me and Q so tight. Yeah, that's why we were so.
Okay.
So yeah. We came at that. No, I was out there in Utah. You know what I mean? Everybody was in Utah out there. So, yep, that draft class.
Okay, so all right, draft night go. Draft night is over. You don't get drafted. You go to Summer League. You say you go to Summer League with Denver.
Yep.
You go to Summer League with Denver. Summer League goes well. You make the team. Undrafted out of Wingate, Division II, small town upbringing, 5'7", going into his senior high school. You're an NBA player. Describe that feeling.
Man, it was crazy. I just remember riding down the road. I don't know where I was going to this day. I don't know where I was going because I was in the hotel in Denver. And in the cab, we get a phone call. They're like, Junior, you made it. I'm like, what? It's like, you made it, man. I just told the cab man to take me back to the hotel. I don't even know where I was going. I just remember telling him to take me back to the hotel, man. It's like, and I called, you know what I mean? Called my mom and dad and stuff like that, man. They were excited. You know what I mean? But once again, I was excited for like 10, 15 minutes of excitement. You know what I mean? It was an all night joy. You know what I mean? But it's like after that first 10 minutes, you already know it's like, all right, now it's time to work. You know what I mean? Like now I got to go out here and I actually got to do this. I got to go out here and play now. So it's, it was a short-lived joy. You know what I mean? It's like you appreciate it for the night, but I got to go out here and go to work now. So it's grown men in there, so. Yeah,
especially back then. The league wasn't as young as it is now. It was like guys with really grown men.
Grown men, yeah.
So you make the team. I mean, you're definitely you're excited, man. Like you said, for you, just the way that you work, like you didn't let it linger on too much. You enjoyed it, but at the same time, your mind was all right, man. I got work to do. Yeah, I made it. I got work to do. Describe your first year in the NBA with Denver. First, can you tell us who was on that team? Who was on that team, that some notable players?
Juwan Howard, man, probably the best teammate I ever played with in my life, dog. He's a great, great dude. I'm so proud of him. I'm glad he got a job at Michigan, man. That's well deserved. I think he's gonna do really, really well, man. He was on that. He was there. Birdman, Chris Anderson. Let me see. We got Nene, Skeeter, Kenny Satterfield, Donnell Harvey, James Posey.
So y'all had a young team.
Yeah, we were very young, man.
Outside of Juwan Howard, y'all had a young. This was a rebuilding team.
Yeah, outside of Juwan, I think we had Chris Whitney. I think Vashon. We had George McLeod. He was like maybe. I think they kind of maybe let him go. Marcus Camby was there, but he was hurt. You know what I mean? Camby was there. So yeah, no, we was young. It was almost half and half like up there, and the other half was just like young, like 3 years or younger. You know what I mean? I think James Posey was still. I think Posey was still in his rookie deal, maybe. You know what I mean? Something like that.
My God, Pose. Shout out to Pose, man.
Yeah, now Pose. Yeah, now Pose could play, man. Pose could. He had a good career too, man. Like I'm glad he see how things turned out for him coaching now. See that also.
All right, so take us through this first year. You make the team, right? You on a guaranteed deal, or it's like a partial?
No, I think it was guaranteed. I think it was guaranteed. Like once I made it, was guaranteed the whole year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was guaranteed the whole year.
All right, so you own the team for sure. Now you just trying to figure out how you gonna get some minutes and how you trying to play well.
Yeah.
You're on the team, young team, couple of veteran guys, but you going up against a young guy who they drafted probably early second round. I don't think Kenny Satterfield was first round pick, was he?
I think Seth was second round.
Okay.
Yeah,
but a guy who had a lot of very good player, but had a lot of hype coming out of high school, had a solid college career, New York guy, can play, like I said, can play really well. What was that like? Trying to, because that's basically who you battling for minutes. What was that like?
Yeah, no, man, it was cool. Like, what's crazy? We had a good relationship. You know what I mean? I think the league is different. You know what I mean? Guys gonna compete in the league. I don't think there was any. I don't think we had any animosity in between the two of us. You know what I mean? So I think me and your relationship probably was better as far as how we was able to coexist. But no, we had a good relationship, man. We I feel like in the NBA, it was more or less in that situation. Now looking back, both people were trying to find their way. You understand what I mean? Whereas neither one of us was established enough. And it's not to say we had a bad relationship. We had a good relationship. But I'm talking about as far as, like, I'm comparing it to yours. Like, we were trying to achieve something. You understand what I'm saying? We actually had a chance to win all of Europe. You understand what I'm saying? And we
I get what y'all, not to cut y'all, but y'all both were trying to, like, basically y'all playing like, I got to make the team. That y'all both had.
Yeah, trying to get a deal.
Nobody, either one, like I said, he wasn't a first round pick, and you was undrafted. But y'all on the team, but y'all like, man, like, I'm in there, but I ain't really in there.
Yeah. So it's like we both trying to get a deal, and it's like we want to. I mean, you always want to win every game. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's that aspect of it. You know what I mean? So it's, but no, I say that. I said we had a good relationship. You know what I mean? We try to help each other. We actually live a couple of doors down from each other. You know what I mean? And things like that. So. Especially, it could have been, guys don't usually get along in situations like that. But no, we were able to get along and things like that, man. We never, let that get in between what we was trying to accomplish, though. You know what I mean? But like I said, we both were at the same time, man. We both want to be out there on the court. You know what I mean? We both want to play. We both want to try to make our way.
So that first year, man, how much did you play that year?
I played quite a bunch, man. I started, I think over 20, 30 games. I played in all 82 games that year.
Say that.
Yeah, I played. All
right, let me rewind that back. Because some people ain't gonna understand what you just said and like the significance of it. not highly recruited. Barely got a scholarship, right?
Yeah.
Go to D2, Wingate, a school nobody's ever heard of. 4-year player, not drafted, makes the NBA team, and starts in 20 to some games as a rookie and plays in all 82 games. That's a hell of an accomplishment, man.
Man, you know, I didn't, man, but what's crazy, I didn't even think about it like that. Like, I just look at it like, I didn't know you were not supposed to play the game. You know what I mean? I never had no DMPs in my life. Like, you know what I mean? So it was like, like, so I didn't know, like, if I could, I didn't know, like, that was really something possible until you start to get, like.
I didn't until I got to the NBA, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like, and then you first get, do y'all remember the first time I got one? You know what I mean? Like, it was a couple years later. It was like maybe in, I don't know when. Like, so it's like for me, if I always been that type, man, if I could play, I'm going to play. You know what I mean? And I always wanted to play and wanted to be out there. So, man, I just look forward to it. And I was blessed to stay healthy. You know, that was crazy. That's why I ended up going to Europe my second year, man, 3 weeks after 3 weeks literally after the season, I messed my knee up. Like, after all of that, like, I was sick. You know what I mean? But that's how things go sometimes.
So that first year, right? How did y'all? I'm pretty sure. How did y'all do? How did y'all do that first year?
I don't even know. We probably won. I know we beat the Spurs, though. They ended up winning the championship. So I still know that. I had the game with a shot against that. I remember we beat them. But then I remember, like, a couple of nights later, we had to go to San Antonio. We beat them at home. And we went back. We had to go to San Antonio a couple of nights later. Man, they smacked us by like 25, maybe.
So y'all wasn't the playoff team. I'm taking it.
No. We wasn't a playoff team. No, we didn't quite have
I knew that.
We didn't quite have the person.
I knew y'all wasn't a playoff team.
We probably, I think we won like 20 games. Like, if you look, they don't have us listed on nowhere as like one of the worst teams in NBA history. So we cool. That's always say, like, so. But I think that year, man, the West was strong, man. I think that's, you had Shaq and Kobe over there. Then Portland was.
Well, that's when Sacktown was rocking too with Webber and Jay and
Bibby.
No, that might have been with Doug Christie. That might have been Christie.
Yeah. And then like I said, like John Stockton, and Malone, they was in Utah. Like, man, so I bet that was Jordan last year. You know what I mean? Scottie Pippen. Like.
All right. I'm glad you went there. Thank you for going there, Junior. Okay. So who was all in the league still when your first year? You just named a few. So Jordan, Stockton, Malone,
Reggie Miller. Yeah, was Patrick. Jordan, Stockton, Malone, Reggie Miller, Gary Payton. I think I said, man, who else was out there? I know I remember that. I'm trying to think. I remember.
A young Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan. I don't know if David Robinson was there. No, Tim. Yeah, you got young Tim Duncan, young KG, prime AI, prime Kobe. Like, you got all these guys in their prime Ginobili. Yeah, prime Dirk, prime Steve Nash, prime Jason Kidd, prime Vince Carter, prime Tracy McGrady. Like, oh man, I had the best show of the house sometimes. It's amazing, like some amazing nights. So like, yeah, no, really, really, man. Same thing. You know how it is to go out there, man. But playing against those guys, man. Like I said, I mean, you play against like Reggie Miller and Jordan and Stockton and Malone. They're a shadow of what they used to be. You know what I mean? So I just imagine, like, man, I can imagine how good they were when they were younger. You know what I mean? Stockton beat me with his mind. Like, I just remember he made me respect him, like, for real. Like, as far as I made me almost apologize for how I thought growing up as a kid. You know what I mean? Like I always thought, I was like, after the game, I was like, yo, man, I should just really apologize. So I should, like, yo, you don't even know. You probably just, like, thought I thought that, like, but he was jumping off the wrong foot. You know what I mean? Doing layup, getting his body, and he was just doing all type of this, really waiting there for the screen, this dribbling. It's like, and it's Karl Malone, man. It was like those type of situations, But playing against Michael Jordan, you know what I mean?
That's a blessing in itself, bro. Like, you naming some of the greatest players ever. Like, and like you said, some of them was a shadow of themselves, but still to be able to lace them up with Malone, Stockton, Like, how briefly, I can describe it. You got a chance to be on the court with Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan, it was crazy. I didn't, man, I tell people, they was like, man, you get starstruck. I'm like, no, it was like only 2 times, honestly. It was like Michael Jordan and AI. AI was my favorite player. You know what I mean? So I get it out before the game. As soon as we run the tunnel, I'm going to look down there, see it warming up. You know what I mean? Blah, say, blah, and it's done. You know, and once the ball go up in the air, you know what I mean? It's, once the ball go up in the air, it's game time. All that go out of my, you know what I mean? That go out of your mind. But I did, when they did throw the ball, I got a couple pictures with me guarding Mike. I just remember one time it was like they swing the ball. And I really didn't know who I was closing out to type of situation. You know what I mean? And so they throw the ball. I'm just getting back in transition. And the situation how it happened, they throwing the ball, and I just close out, and I turn around. I'm like, oh, man, this is Mike. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, man, like, if he make this, it's going to be on ESPN. Like, every bucket he made that year got put on ESPN. Like, and he was in a fadeaway position. It was like he was like this. Everything was set up for the fadeaway. He ended up passing it. So, but no, like, man, those opportunities. But he was smart too. Even though he was, these guys were older and stuff like that, you was just able to see how smart they were. You still see how crisp they were and what they do, how they were able to use their mind. You know what I mean? So, but that was a heck of an opportunity though, for real.
So, what happened after that season? So, you, from your standpoint, you thought you had a successful season, got a lot of experience, played in every game. After the season, did the numbers just not work? Was the team just going in a different direction? Can you just tell us a little bit about why you didn't go back? Why you didn't go back for the second year?
I actually had to have surgery. I messed my knee up. Like, man, I tore my meniscus like right after the season, 3 weeks after the season, man. Friday afternoon playing King of the Court. Like, I just remember it so vivid. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like almost, you know how it is, you train all week, and then it's like for the weekend, you know what I mean? We playing King of the Court Friday, I messed my knee up. And so I had to have surgery, and I was out probably like 2 months, you know what I mean? And so, and my second year, my deal was non-guaranteed. So it was like the deal that I signed, like first year, it was like both of them were non-guaranteed, but once you made it, you were guaranteed that year. You understand what I'm saying? Then the new year kind of started over, but they had my rights, that type of thing. But I really couldn't do what I needed to do as far as in training camp, you know what I mean? And to get back to be able to perform. And so, man, they end up, letting me go and stuff like that. So I ended up going over to Ukraine, went to Azamush. But I mean, I could have stayed and maybe do the little CBA route thing, I went what's equivalent to the D League, not G League now, but now I just chose to go, go to Europe, man, and just go that route.
So how was that? But didn't you play in the CBA?
One game.
Oh, one game.
One game, man, for the Dakota Wizards, man. One game, man.
Okay.
South Dakota, man. Like that was South Dakota. It was snowing. It was cold. That was like Poland.
Yeah, it was your pre-introduction to Europe.
Yeah, it was actually my pre. I actually left snowy place and went to somewhere that was like worse.
Much cold, yeah.
Yeah, Ukraine, totally way more different colder.
Man, the worst. You couldn't pay me to go back to Ukraine, bro.
Oh, really, man? Ukraine, that was too cold.
Not to Mariupol, not to Azamat. You couldn't pay me no money to go back to that situation.
You know what? Man, I like that place. I always said if I had to do it over again, what's crazy is like even though I came back and went to like New Orleans and they were playing Memphis, I would have stayed in Azamat for 10 years.
Really?
For real. Yeah, like everything. I mean, I don't know. It depends on if the situation would have changed after like how things were for us our first year. You know what I mean? They took really, really, really good care of you. When you talk about Europe, that's the best ever I've ever been.
Well, I had our team. We had a talent. I mean, Azabash in Ukraine is the best. So you know what I'm saying? The top team in Ukraine. At least every year they're supposed to be the top team. It just our management was horrible, bro. Like,
yeah, that's what I said. Maybe it was
different. The team was great. The team was great. Like the fans were great. The living conditions is what it is. But that right there, that was disturbing for me. Just being like that's a third world type of situation. But the management really, really scarred me. The management that year for that team really, I was like, bro, you couldn't pay me an amount of money to go back and try that one again.
Yes, we didn't have that problem. Now, that's one thing I was looking at. That's why I say now, if you never know. If we'd have started running that situation, I would have been out of there. But No, it was over there, man. It was cool for us and stuff like that. But I just remember getting off the plane. I had a suitcase full of throwbacks, man. I was like, I ain't gonna need these this year.
Not gonna need them. You ain't gonna wear no
yeah,
way.
yeah, that's why I was like, man, you don't need any of this stuff over here in Europe no more, man. I let that fashion be to you guys, man. I left all that. After my first year in Ukraine.
That's the year that you forgot about. That's the year you was like, man,
if this is gonna be what I'm gonna be on right here, they can forget about that. I'm not. Y'all can have all this fashion.
Okay. It makes sense now. Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand 8 years later why you was the way you were.
Yeah, man, I went over there the first. I had 3 suitcases. I had throwbacks. I had the cool. You got everything that was. You know what I mean? That I'm leaving the States, like, you know what I mean, like it is now. You know, like maybe now I might be different. You know, but I can't see it again. Like back then, it was like especially maybe it'd have been different if I would have left and went to a place like Spain. You know what I'm saying? Or Italy. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was leaving from going to somewhere like Mariupol. You understand what I'm saying? And there's nothing against that city or nothing like that.
But there's nothing to really be dressed up for.
Yeah, there's nothing to really be dressed up for.
In Mariupol. But you know me, I'm still going. You know what I'm saying? Like in Mariupol, I'm still fresh and fly. Like regardless, like you know, it's even like the colder the weather, the better it is for I can dress.
Yeah, but I think those people over there were little tough guys. I was like, you know what, man, I ain't got time to be wrestling with these guys over this jacket or over this. Like, these guys, they're not going to stop. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to blend in, you know. But
all right. So you mess up your knee. It sets you back. Your mindset, right? Were you disappointed that you had to go overseas, or was it like, all right, like you've been like, so far you've been like, your mindset has been pretty consistent. Like, all right, man, I got work to do. I got to be better. Was that your mindset?
Yeah, no, I was hurt. You know what I mean? I was like not really hurt, like as far as I got cut hurt. I was more or less like, dang, I worked all this. Like I've never been hurt in my life. Like as far as like, you know what I mean? Like as far as I can't play. And it's like you go from not really working something. Everybody want to get here once you get this chance. You work all hard as you can to get all the way to this point, and then this happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like that. So I don't even know if, but I ain't really feel sorry for myself. You know what I mean? I maybe a little bit I did, you know, but I kind of got over it. I was like, man, you know what? At the end of the day, you was a Division II school. You didn't even think you was going to get an opportunity to play, you know? So just take it for what it is. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, but I think the second time, like I said, went over to Ukraine. Then I came back New Orleans, and then I hurt my knee the second time in New Orleans. And that's not really just like, after I hurt the same knee again in New Orleans, and I think I found my strength then, like in that scripture, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, to give you hope in the future, you know? So, man, not to harm me, but once I saw that, it was like, man, I can't worry about this basketball. The only thing I can do is work hard, do what I do, man. If I get hurt, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, so that was just kind of how I went in it with that. I mean, so, but that's kind of how I got over that. But man, I was definitely more hurt by the fact of sometimes you sit back and you think like, what could have been? You know what I mean? If you wouldn't have got hurt or this or that, if I wouldn't have what this or what that. But hey, it is what it is, you know.
All right, so
the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think your perspective about life and being realistic, and you know, and your faith, obviously your faith, just your mindset and your mental capacity had to be strong based on how you kept getting back into the league, right? So you started with Denver, undrafted, you made the team, you played a whole full season, had pretty good success. You get injured, you go overseas, right? You do that for a season. The next year, talk about making the team in New Orleans. How did that come about? So this your 3rd year as a pro.
3rd year as a pro. Man, that's you know, just my agent is hitting up. I think Byron Scott was a coach then, and so I tell everybody, man, that was probably like honestly, if that year probably was the most confidence I've ever had in myself before I got hurt, or as far as maybe as far as myself, because I'm going against Baron Davis every day and Darrell Armstrong. You know what I mean? So
This was young. This was a pretty. This was young BD.
Yeah, this is young BD. Go get it, BD. And this is Daryl Armstrong still pressing up 94 feet. So it was like, man, I was every day in practice. I'm getting a chance to. I mean, I'm having a guard. You know what I mean? All-star. You know what I'm saying? And then on the other end, I mean, BD a D up. You know what I mean? But he's more of a. You know, he's gonna D up if he have to. He ain't gonna let you just disrespect him. But he'll D up if he have to. But whereas Daryl Armstrong, you know, he getting after you every possession. You know what I'm saying? So. As far as confidence in my game, like they gave me a lot of confidence in my game just to be able to make it. You know what I mean? Have to compete against them every day, and I know I was getting better. I was like, if I got to go against this every day, I mean, I'm not gonna really worry about what I face in the game. I'm facing one of the best point guards I got an opportunity to practice against the best point guard in the league every day. You know, so you know that was a blessing, and I mean, this things like that you're able to take. I mean, even throughout my career, you know what I mean? Just being able to play him and seeing that type of thing. So this is going to be, it's rare you're going to get an opportunity to play against somebody like that every day.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, man, yeah, I remember BD. That might have been right before they moved back to New Orleans because the Hornets were in Charlotte. Like my first year in college, they were still in Charlotte. So yeah, BD. I mean, he used to show love, you know, being that he was in Charlotte, right a couple of hours up the street. But that year, you're in Charlotte with a young BD, a veteran guy, and Daryl Armstrong, learning and competing against them every day. How was that year? Your playing time, you know, how was that? How was that?
It was crazy. I actually played quite a bit that year. I started some games too. You know, I think BD, Daryl. I don't think Daryl ended up getting traded sometime during the year. I think he went to Dallas maybe or something like that. But you know, I was playing pretty well. Like I said, man, and starting some games, and then again I hurt my knee. Like, man, maybe right before All-Star break, I think I messed up my knee again.
So you get hurt again? Same knee?
Same knee again. Same knee, yeah. Meniscus again, second time.
So you out for the rest of the year?
It was pretty much around that time we got to come back, have surgery. You know what I mean? That's like a 6-week process. You know what I mean? Just with the rehab, and then you got to get back and I mean, you can get back and go play in the YMCA. And somebody get back and go out there and play on that court. That was tough. And then it's like, that's gonna be tough for me, you know. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you could do that and go play the Y, but nah, and it was like in the surgeries, I don't think the surgeries like you wasn't coming back then like it is now. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Medicine technology was different back then.
Yeah. Now they come back 2 weeks from meniscus surgery a month. They right back at it. But yeah, that was that. I had that surgery. Man, you know, back to Europe again. Right back to Europe. Same situation.
All right. So not to skip over the Europe experience, we'll get more into that after your last NBA experience. So you get hurt again, man. You hurt your knee again. Kind of derails your momentum you done picked up again in the NBA. All right. So after that New Orleans season, like you said, you go back overseas. You play a year with that. But then once again, you persevere again. You're back in the league the following year. You make the team with the Memphis Grizzlies. Talk a little bit about that.
Man, that was getting a chance to play with Pau Gasol, Damon Stoudemire. You know, Damon Stoudemire was there. Eddie Jones. Who else? Hakeem Ward, Rudy Gay. I think
okay. So I'm in the league at this time. This is my second year in the league.
Okay.
07.
All right. Yeah. They had Powell, like I said, man, just getting a chance to go out there and play with Powell, man. He was probably, man, that dude, man. I just used to love to watch him work down there on that block, man. His footwork was crazy. He could handle the ball. You know, people don't always try to say that. I guess they try to say he's soft or this or that. I never thought he was soft. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, you know, that Powell's not soft. He's just a European big man. You know what I mean? He's a little European movement. He may try to flop a little bit, but at the end of the day, he'll give you that work. You know what I mean? I've seen him give a lot of people that work, you know. He's a really, really good player.
No, yeah, I mean, Powell definitely had that work. And, that was, like I said, we didn't understand it a lot because he was one of the first really successful bigs to come over from Europe, like in the modern day game.
Yeah.
And, the comparisons he might have been getting, having to be in the, he in the Tim Duncan KG type, you know what I'm saying? He in that era. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I get it because people didn't understand it, but yeah, Powell had that work all throughout his whole career. He give you what you want.
Man, I'm telling you, man, he was tough there. And then who else? Stromile Swift, man. I'm telling you, practice used to be crazy between Stromile and
Okay.
Hakeem Ward. Wow, man, he had some high flyers in there, man. He was like, I played with some high flyers, man.
Was B. Jones on this team? Dante Jones, was he on this team?
Yeah, man, Dante Jones, man. You know what's crazy? That's probably I was telling my homie the other day, Dante, the only dude that ever really drove by me and like really, really dunked on me. Like
Oh no, you let Tay
no, he
get.
didn't dunk on me. No. Let me get that straight. He didn't dunk on me. It was a situation that he caught the ball in the wing. Picking, you know what I mean? Big man throwing the ball in the wing. He on the left wing. Big man throwing the ball in the wing. I kind of look, you know what I mean? Look to the middle. He ripped through real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, if you let Tay bop you and get to the
No. It was just really quick, rip through real quick. But he can take off, you know what I mean? Once he took that second dribble now, it was, he could jump now.
But I'm just saying, like, that's my guy. Shout out to Dante Jones. He wasn't known for like putting the ball on the ground like that. Like,
it wasn't.
Yeah, catching on the wing, ripping through. Yeah, I can see that all day. Ripping through.
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah,
that was that move. Yeah, no boppity bopping. No, he didn't do that. We're not gonna do that. But no, he ripped. That was funny. I remember. No, that was like. Then we had Mike Miller. He out there, man. That dude can shoot. You know what I mean? I'm seeing Mike Miller knock down. He knocking down shots. He not making 48, 50. You know what I mean? 48 out of 50 from threes and stuff like that. Man, so yeah.
So, all right. So you back in the league, man. You experienced now. You just like your fourth. This like your fifth year as a professional. You know how this goes. You're accustomed to just the NBA life and what's expected of you. How does the season go for you? Like, how does this year? All right, what is your mindset? Like, man, like this is my last shot, or are you still confident in the fact that you can make a career out of playing in the NBA?
Yeah, I'm still confident in it, but it's like at that point, you know what it is. Also, and then at this point, my knee is starting to go down, so I don't know how my physical is going to turn out. You know what I mean? So you gotta start worrying about that. But no, it's never really like I really gave up on that part of it. You know what I mean? It was just like you're starting to get older now. You know what I mean? And things like that. But I never lost that part of it. I think it was just more or less the fact that like after Memphis, it was just like more stability within Europe at that point in time. You know what I mean? I got tired of the back and forth to going and this and that. I was like, you know what? I'll just go over here to Europe and do this thing. I had my little girl and things like that. I didn't, I stopped doing summer league and that type of stuff, So I just didn't want to do those summer league things anymore. All that stuff it took to really make it. You know what I mean? Go out and work out for the teams during the summer and things like that. It was a year-round grind. You know what I mean? So just to get back, you never had any off time. So it's like that part of it. I was cool with it.
So basically, you just made an executive decision. Which was like, all right, man, like financially, the Europe situation was financially probably more lucrative than, the 1 year deals you was getting, partial guarantees or non-guarantees you was getting in the NBA.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, man, you know what it could be in the league. But it was just a matter of going and coming and waiting around and this situation or that situation. It's just so much more, you know what I mean? It's just so much more to go with it. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm just tired of signing these 1 year deals. Like, I'm tired of being on this situation or this situation and having to do this. And then I keep getting hurt. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, I'm just going to go to Europe. You know what I mean? Just go to Europe and travel the world, see different countries, So.
All right. So after Memphis, it's 2007. So you decided like, all right, man, I'm off trying to do the NBA thing. It's just, I've experienced it. I would love to continue it, but it's just too, what I'm saying? It's just too much uncertainty. I think I have more stability in Europe. Your first year in Russia, how was that?
Man, Russia was cool, man. Russia, that was a nice country. I actually like to go back to visit Russia. I lived in Rostov, but that was really good basketball over there. Yeah, Cheska. Um, what's your Cheska, Dynamo, Hemke, Unix, you know what I mean? So it was cold country, you know what I mean? But that was really good basketball. Tough. You gotta be tough to play over there, at least in Europe. You're getting fouled over there. So actually I think we played against you. You was in Hemke. I'm not sure where I was at when I played against you, but
Yeah,
you in
that
Hemke
was my
over
first year. That was my first. That was my first year in Europe. I was in.
there. Yeah, you were in Hemke, yeah. So I was actually I played against you. I was in what team was I with? Sylvania? Olympia? I don't know what team I was with when we came over there and
Yeah,
played.
you went to. Yeah, that's crazy. Though. I don't even remember playing against you, bro.
Man, I got a picture, man.
I got. I,
I got a picture, man.
I tell people this all the time, man. Like, and it's not an arrogance thing, but kind of like what you were talking about earlier. Like, I never was worried about what the next guy was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going.
So, like, if you wasn't on my radar as a guy that like was well known or like that was the top guy or whatever, like I wasn't worried about the guys who I didn't know about. I wasn't looking up nobody. Like, I wasn't looking up nobody's stats or who doing what. Like, that just never was my thing.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, that's the same thing. It was like, but you guys went to Duke, girl. You guys Duke
But
Carolina guys.
but that's
Yeah,
why I said,
and then I'm from a Duke Carolina State where you only one or the other one. So you one of my homeboy
which
favorite
side
players.
you on though?
Carolina all day, man. You my homeboy favorite player. No, it was crazy. Other night I was telling my homeboy, he was like, man, that's my dog. He talk about you like he know you. He don't even know you. Like that's his he's like, he could hoop, this and that. Man, he had a whole Duke like a wooden Duke plaque thing hanging up on his wall. It was crazy. But no, you either Duke or Carolina around here, man.
Yeah, I mean,
But, yeah,
of course, I know that, and it's mostly Carolina because the state of Carolina is a Carolina state. It's Tar Heels. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
yeah.
so.
Yeah, man, and Duke, yeah, no, nobody don't really get down with y'all, but yeah,
It's
no, but get out of Duke
all good
right
though.
here.
I mean,
Yes.
we still took over despite the lack of support from in homes. You know, we still took over.
Oh, yeah, no, but they get it in though. But yeah, no, but Russia was cool though, man. I enjoyed the time over there in Russia. Like I said, Rostov, and it's good. You know what I mean? I one thing I love about Europe, man. Honestly, I love the traveling and being able to go to see the other countries. The basketball always. How you say you never really worried about the team. I never worried about the basketball. Like that's gonna be what it is. I was just more or less. I love to travel and to see those other cities and going to St. Petersburg and you know what I mean. Seeing all those things like that. We don't get to see this here. We have no history. Like they say, we have no history here in America.